First, I want to give us a different perspective on thirsty. Because I know in our generation, being thirsty is kind of like negatively looked upon, which in a way that we're going to discuss, and how some people acted out or show that they're thirsty, of course. But also being thirsty is considered to be desperate. The definition of thirsty is having or showing a strong desire for something when you're too eager for something, which essentially leads you to being desperate. And desperate means when you have lost it all or nearly lost all hope, it causes frantic action in the face of adversity, loss, defeat, and or frustration. And we look at desperation and we look at thirsty in a way of like, oh, you just doing too much. You thirsty. Like, why you doing all that? It don't take all that. Or man, you just desperate. You know what I'm saying? And we frown upon it. But in the same light, desperation is the same thing that leads you to accomplishing a deep goal that you want. Like, it leads you to want something so much that you have no other choice but to give it your all and to apply yourself fully to it and to give your whole heart to it and to drive forward until you see that thing come into light. So at the same time, it's a positive side and it's a negative side to it, right? And I think the biggest thing that comes with which way that your desperation will be either positive or negative, it's the action that you choose that will determine the outcome of your desperation. So whatever, we're all thirsty. That's what I'm going to teach us today. We're all thirsty for something. We're all desperate for something, whether we know it or not, or whether we at the wrong well, quenching our thirst the wrong way so we don't recognize it, which we're going to talk about as well. We're all thirsty for something, but the action to quench our thirst determines the outcome of our thirst, which we're going to jump into. Because at the end of the day, bro, one thing I recognized when I was going into this message is that God has, still is today, and always will be thirsty for us. He's always been desperate for us. He's always been deeply desiring a relationship with us. He's always been that way. Always been that way. John 15:16 says, I chose you. You didn't choose me. I chose you. You didn't choose me. John 3:16 says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son that whoever believes in him. So he loved the world, which means every individual that resides in this earth, he loves. That he gave every single thing. He did the most. I mean, didn't hold back. He did the most. Like, bro, you doing too much. Like, why you giving everything you got? You're God. You own literally everything. You can give anything else other than your son. But why you doing the most for them? That he gave everything that whoever, so he loved the world, every single individual in the world, that whoever, so he knew that he was going to be rejected by some people and that the greatest gift that he gave to earth wouldn't be accepted. Ain't that desperate? Giving your all with a chance of being rejected, right? And then 1 John 4:19 says that we love because he first loved us. We love because he first loved us. So long before you even love God and long before I even love God, he had us on his heart and was loving us. That's desperate, man. That's desperate in our eyes, right? God has always been that way, and he will still today be that way. Psalm 118:1 says, thank God for he is good and his love never quits. That's one thing. That's a verse right there that I need in my life every single day. And I've needed in my life every single day, because if God wasn't desperate for me, he would have gave up on me a long time ago. If God wasn't desperate for me, he would have gave up on me a long time ago. Because I don't deserve the type of love and I don't deserve the type of grace and mercy that he gives when I've constantly rejected and I've constantly disobeyed and I've constantly went my own way, made my own mistakes, you know what I'm saying? But if he wasn't desperate for me, he would be like, okay, so you want to keep doing your own thing. That's cool. But it says, thank God he's good and his love never quits. And he will always be that way Always be that way. Deuteronomy 7:9, it says that God is the same God for generations on generations. So if he was that way for some other generation and he did this for this group of people, he's still willing to do that for this time of people, for us. And Revelation 3:20 says, behold, I knock at the door. Not I knocked with an ED at the end, but I knock at the door, which means it's a continuing act that whoever lets me in, I will come in and sit with them. But if you haven't let me in yet, don't worry, I'm going to keep knocking. I'm going to keep knocking. You're going to keep seeing that person post an Instagram scripture. You're going to keep seeing Tyler Coleman rebuild clips. You're going to keep seeing a Bible verse come up that's touching your heart. You're going to keep hearing, like, I'm going to keep knocking. I'm going to keep knocking because I'm desperate for you. Thank God that God is desperate for us, bro. Because desperation leads you to not giving up on something that truly matters to you.